All right, the SportsCastle and Crossbar Capers Northern New South Wales NPL Grand Finals show. Something a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Joined by Josh from Crossbar Capers. How are you, mate?
How are you guys?
Nice of you to join us here in the lovely surrounds of the empty Maitland Leagues Club, but we do appreciate
flat out, isn't it?
We do appreciate they've cleared the place out for us to give the recording studio feel.
Might come in more often.
And my usual stooge, Jarryd. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so mate, the business end of the soccer season, boys. Had the new FM finals last week, and
Yep.
3 different winners across the 3 different grades. We might have a run through. We'll start with the 19s, and West Wall's End came from 3rd to knock over the minor premiers Cohiba. So the Bluebells, they might not be celebrating the big one, but there'll be a few of the young boys celebrating.
Yeah, no, you know, for a club, obviously from where it was, and obviously to where it's I believe it's going. Yeah, absolutely. They've done well, and obviously, I'm sure they would have liked all 3 grades. But yeah, no, we've got to start somewhere. So yeah, from 3rd, brilliant. 2
sides into the grand final from lower down the ladder, so they've done well when it's got to the business end. Mate, your boys, mate, Cooks Hill, they took out the 23s. They got up over New Lambton, so good to see a couple other clubs getting in amongst the mix. Kazuki Tachibana scoring the winner 1-0.
Yeah, nice. I suppose
you know Kazuki well, wouldn't you, being a Cooks Hill tragic?
Family friend, and, yeah, very nice bloke. But no, I suppose they were very disappointed with what happened the week before in the senior grade. So I suppose at least they got something to for their club. You know, so a lot of teams, even in like different sports, they focus solely on the top. But it's good to see. You know, at least they got blokes coming through as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Is it true that you're holding Nick Russell solely responsible for the week before?
Yeah, I've heard it on good authority. He didn't play strong enough, mate.
We've put a lot of expectation on him. He's been, you know, one of the sports car. Like
he was probably the second or third.
If they'd have made the grand final, they, you know, would have thought he might have been in for the, you know, SportsCastle winter sports personality, mate. Like,
yeah, would have been praying for some media passes too, mate.
Oh yeah, mate. It's all about who you know, not what you know. As these shirts tell us, rocking some club colours thanks to Reece Cooper from Hamilton and Sam Walker from Lake Macquarie. Great to have the boys sort of loan us some shirts so we look the part.
Mate.
Just make sure you take them back to them, guys, yeah?
Some of these clubs are running on shoestring budgets, mate. Although, hang on, I'll just lower this because I did get told I had to sort of show off the sponsors a little bit. So there you go, Sammy. And obviously the main one, Bell Swans and Westie came from 3rd and 4th respectively. Knocked out the very strongly favoured Cooks Hill and Thornton. Mate, your local boys.
Yeah, mate, I thought Thornton were going to get up there and do it. But yeah, no, Bell Swans obviously... Look, to be fair, they were a good side all season. They, you know, obviously, they were touch and go. Obviously, from the start of the season, no one really knew what they were going to do, but they produced the goods. Obviously, in the latter end of the season.
And unlike the junior grades, there was goals aplenty, 4-2.
Goals aplenty, mate. Yeah.
A double for Westie for Joe Holt, an early one and a late one, the 8th and the 83rd, and Bell Swans, Clayton Poole with a hat trick. Yeah, we were talking about off air just before. He's only had 1 goal before that for the season, so he obviously peaked his run pretty well.
Very handy player. I know a lot of. He used to play NPL a few years ago. He's quite handy, and he's quite handy cricketer as well.
There you go.
So another double threat.
Redhead boy, mate.
Oh, here he is trying to claim it. And Corey Wilson in the 22nd. So Bell Swans, I think that's their first title at that level in something like 32 years.
Long time.
Yeah, a long time before most of us were born. So.
Absolutely.
But yeah, great to see, and it's good to see. You know, it's not always the same team, so it's nice to see something there. As you said, great to see West Wall's End.
Yep.
You know, they once were a powerhouse in the NPL, as it's now called. As it went by different names, obviously back then, but you know, that they were on the brink of not having a club almost, which would be a disaster out in the area they are. It's a very strong soccer nursery.
They are. Yeah, I've played it there many times, and obviously the bowl was. It was a scary place to go.
It's not a fun place to go on a cold day in the middle of winter, is it?
Freezing cold.
I've been over there to the rugby league field, which is obviously just over the other side, not far, and yeah, it's mate, West Wall's End's not the best place to go in winter, that's for sure. It's cold as hell. It's like it's just down at the bottom of everything. So
yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully the Bluebells can go one better for their sake next year. But congratulations to the boys out at Bell Swans. I'd say they're still partying. Yeah,
they've been known to party hard out
Blacksmith's
there,
Oval will be going off still, I reckon, tonight on a Wednesday night. So.
Absolutely.
Obviously, yeah, so that's a new FM wrap. A pretty good season all in all. It's nice to see some new teams, as we said, getting amongst the mix, and yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. Yeah, good to see obviously someone knocking off Cooks Hill. I didn't think they were going to be stopped again this year, and finally someone knocked them off.
They looked unstoppable, mate, and you're making the call for Bell Swans, mate. Promotion. Bring promotion back. A direct swap for your base on that. It wouldn't even be much of a geographical change the way the ladder's finished.
Yeah, look, I don't like to say clubs deserve to go up or deserve to go down at this point, but obviously Valentine, they're in big trouble with the NPL. So
do you think it'd be a big step though from New FM to NPL? The other thing, obviously, that's a bit of a bugbear from speaking to some of the players in the New FM is you then have to readjust your age groups too, because obviously the NPL's 20s and 18s versus 23s and 19s.
Correct. Yeah. Look, as you said before, it's who you know, not what you know these days. And by all means, obviously, I'm sure a lot of these guys at Cooks Hill or Bell Swans and that can, know a few people, and if they do go up, they might be able to snag a few good players.
Well, that's it. And I mean, the other option is that you see a few of them that want to test themselves end up just going to those NPL clubs anyway. So you see a turnover of talent. So it doesn't really matter which way it is. If guys want to have a crack at NPL, they're going to have a crack at NPL. But there's an opportunity if we put promotion and relegation for clubs to be rewarded for developing their talent and keeping them through, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
But I guess, watch this space. We'll see if Northern New South Wales Football and those that run the NPLs, I think it's an end goal for everyone. I think at the end of the day, they'd love to have promotion and relegation all the way through to the A-League.
They've been wanting for a while.
The realism of it is, until we have probably a B League and maybe even a C League above the NPLs, it's probably not going to happen. So we'll just wait and see. Watch this space, as I said, and might move on up to, speaking of the NPL, we might have a look at the results from the weekend.
Yeah, mate.
So Edgeworth progressed 4-3 overall over the two legs. It was 1-1 after the first leg, and plenty of late goals. Just the own goal until we got to the 90th minute. Lambton sitting in the box seat thanks to a Don Bazzari own goal.
Yep.
And then the one of their marquee signings, the not so young Josh Rose from the Central Coast Mariners, scored an equaliser in the 90th. Sent it to extra time, so there would have been plenty of people on the edge of their seat out there.
Yeah, mate. I think I seen yesterday. I think it was on Twitter or whatever it was that he was saying it's probably going to be one of the biggest grand finals he's been involved in. So I'm.
Yes. Well, yeah. No,
well, I don't think he's been in too many, to be fair. So
fair enough. No. Well, Central Coast haven't been in too many lately, but and none that really count. So.
Yeah, they'll likely come through halfway through the season, I think. Well.
Yeah, exactly right. And speaking of coming back late in the season, I do see that Edgeworth for the grand final will welcome back, after that win, they will welcome back the great man, Daniel McBroom.
Yeah, mate, yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of people that score clutch winners.
Clutch winners.
That's right, mate.
Yeah, and look, he personally, I think he deserves to be there. They started off well, and they started off well because of him. And I think it's only fair, obviously, that he does come back. I said Lambton's not in it, who I was hoping we're going to get there, so they're not there anymore. So,
I thought you were hoping South Cardiff, mate, based on the shirt.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
They've had a bit of a fall from Greyshaw boys, the Gunners, but I'm hearing that they're aiming a bit higher next year, and they didn't miss the final by too much. So.
No, look, they had a pretty good season.
I don't think you'll see a side like that too far out of the finals for too long.
Yeah, look, they played all right. They had a good season. They've, as you said, they like to say they're rebuilding.
That's what everyone says, mate.
I think it's what everyone says. Look,
I think the Mariners and the Phoenix have been doing it for a few years, haven't they?
They can keep on going, mate. They can keep on rebuilding as much as they like. But yeah, look, Southie will get back there. It wasn't too long ago they were obviously playing decent football, and I'm sure they'll get back to where they were.
Yeah, lovely. And obviously, as we said, they went to extra time. Joe Wheelhouse scored, opened it up, then Bazzari levelled it up, and in stoppage time in the second half again, Edgeworth did what they do and got the great escape.
Absolutely.
Atade getting the goal from bit of a scramble, and Edgeworth walk into the grand final. I mean, they're a clutch side.
He's a good player as well, obviously. So. Yeah, look, the better team won on the end of the day. They had the legs in the end, and I think Lambton personally done well to take it into that extra time.
So probably not a huge surprise. Edgeworth, as much as they've got a couple of those, names of that are a bit older in the rows and those sorts.
Yeah.
They're probably a little bit younger, so probably had a bit more legs in them.
Correct.
It's been no secret over the last couple of years that Lambton have built their core around some, pretty well-known names, household names, you might say.
Great players.
Great players, but as the years pass, some of these guys by, as the Wheelhouses and the Griffiths, you tend to battle a bit more for 120 minutes. I mean, Edgeworth, McBroom's a great example. He very rarely plays a full game for them.
Yeah.
They've used him in stints, and these guys, 90 minutes is a big effort. So to try and wheel out 120 was going to be a big ask.
Yeah. I hear Lambton are blaming the Jets for obviously not having Joel Griffiths there the whole time. So Lambton like to think if he played the 22 games, it might have been a little bit different leading into the finals. So
I reckon poor old Joel might have done a hammy or a heartstring or something there, you know.
Mate, no. It's all for the club, mate.
All for the club?
All for the Jets. He's all Jets, Lambton.
Well, at the end of the day, I reckon that one of them pays him probably a little bit more than the other one.
You'd hope so. I don't think he does shit for free.
I was going to say, as much as Joel Griffiths is, a Newcastle icon after what he did with that, leading us to a grand final and all that.
King of Newcastle here.
I don't think he loves Newcastle that much that he'd be doing it just for the love, that's for sure. No.
It's a shame.
No, I'm hearing whispers out of the Jets office that he's well compensated for what he does. What's he going by? The King of Newcastle, that's it?
King of Newcastle, Laurie said the other week. So.
Yeah, lovely, mate. I like Laurie's sense of humour. He doesn't mind giving a bit of stick to the boys, which is great. Moving on to the other semi-final, mate. You tipped Maitland?
To win?
To win, yeah, he did.
They did.
How'd that go for you? Well, they won the game.
They won the game
1-0, but when you're down 3-1, it was a little bit hard. Speaking of former Jets, Matty Thompson getting the goal. He gets a few for a bloke that's,
he does.
supposedly a defender. He wanders downfield. It must be a thing with Maitland, though, because later in that game, Alex Reid, who's obviously an out-and-out defender, was at the last line of defence, got through, and then John Griffiths, he probably figured he didn't have much other option, because if they get to, a second goal, they level it up, and then it's all sorts of hassles if, obviously another goal goes in. So, red card, which is going to see him miss this grand final, a fairly experienced campaigner there too.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Look, Maitland, they done well, I think, in the second game. Obviously, the first game they struggled and they got punished for that. And the second game round, obviously, it's just a shame they couldn't put a few more in to obviously make it a little bit more interesting. But magic. Absolutely, it's exactly that.
I think the season campaigner with the clipboard knew what he was doing, mate. He had him fairly defensive oriented, especially once that first goal did go in the first half, and just went. They knew what they had to do. They knew they had to defend the game out. Even if they let in 2 goals, they knew that they still on the away goal rule. But as John Griffiths showed there, he might be regretting it now, but at the time he knew what he had to do, and I mean it wasn't an outrageous challenge, but it was a classic red card. There's no question, the referee, no qualms. It was bang gone, and they then gritted through and got themselves to this week at the big dance at McDonald Jones under the big turf.
Oh, that's it, under the big lights. So as I said, I think they deserved it, and personally, Dewar probably did as well. It's probably the 2 best teams going through the final this year. So
they definitely have been, and we'll get to some tips in a second. We might start with the lower grades, if you will, the 18. So it's great to see 3 games, 6 different clubs involved.
Yeah, good.
Which is good. Love to see a mix. Obviously, the more clubs competing on grand final day, as opposed to some of the other competitions where you just see the same 2 teams playing in all 4 grades, and everyone else is on the sidelines enjoying silly Sunday. Hopefully, not like the Canterbury Bulldogs. Keep your clothes on. Don't touch each other inappropriately in public, boys. So the under 18 starts off with the Jets. Now, I understand the Jets team's a 16s team. They'll play against the mighty Roosters, Lake Macquarie City.
Little boys.
Rocking the colours, So probably no questions as to who I'm tipping. The Jets minor premiers, Lake Macquarie, finished 3rd on the ladder and progressed through after last week's win. So, who do you like here?
Look, as I said, it's a funny game, grand finals. I've been in a few myself, and I've been.
Look at that subtle, just sneaky brag there. I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, unfortunately, I've lost a lot more than I've won. So,
join the club.
Yeah. So obviously, but I've won. I've been in grand finals where we've been premiers, and obviously played teams that have finished 4th or so, and they've got up and beat us. So look, as I said, it's a completely different game. So I'm still tipping the Jets, though. I think I'll be too strong at the end of the day.
I think the skill of the Jets will be obviously a telling factor. I think they only dropped 2 games during the year. Lake Macquarie will have a little bit more size, probably being a couple of years older, and also the experience and wisdom of that. So it'll be interesting to see how those 2 styles clash. They played quite an interesting brand on the weekend from the highlights I saw, and tried a few left field things. So it'd be good to see a clash here. Jarryd, who are you going for, mate?
No, I'm going to stick with Lake Macquarie.
Oh, 2v1. I like it. This is good.
Heads, boys.
This is good. It's not just a split decision like it normally is on the show. So it's good having a third person on here.
It's a grand final, mate.
Good for you too, mate. Getting your face on camera, you look good next to me and Jarryd. Move right along. The under 20s. It's the top 2 teams, same as the Premier League. We've got Maitland versus Hamilton. 3:30. Go to you first, mate. I'd be pretty surprised if you're going for Maitland.
Yeah, sticking with the boys, mate. Hamilton by a couple, I reckon.
Yeah, Nick Politis' boys, I like it, by a couple. Maitland, the minor premiers, again, only dropping 2 games. There hasn't been much separating these two teams. I'm going to go with the Magpies as they travel into town to get the job done. Probably 2-1, I reckon, Maitland.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go Maitland, but I'm going to go winning on penalties.
Winning on penalties, that'd be great to see.
I think it's going to be a low game. I think they'll virtually...
low scoring, right.
Low scoring,
yeah.
So
I'm glad you clarified. It's just going to be a low game. It's just going to be average.
It's going to be a low game. Match of the fittest, I think.
And the big one, 5 o'clock, Saturday night. Still at McDonald Jones Stadium. It's starting to get dark under the lights.
Yeah, mate.
A bit of excitement. Hopefully they can get a big crowd in there. Probably bigger than what the Jets had in round 1.
Yeah.
Won't be bigger than what the Jets had in the grand final night, though.
Well, yeah. I went last year, and there was good turnout. So.
Yeah, mate, there was some good deals going around, like $100 and I think you got a drink card with a dozen schooners and some food and a box. And
Happy days.
if I wasn't already committed, I would have been there with bells on. Not that it would have done me any good, seeing as I'm off the booze at the moment, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, I did hear that.
So Edgeworth, the minor premiers, runaway minor premiers in the end. They play Broadmeadow. Before we get to the tips, a couple of little pointers. They've played twice this year. They played in round 14 and for a 0-0 draw. They played in round 3 at Broadmeadow. And they're stone's throw from where they'll play this weekend. 3-2 win to Edgeworth. Edgeworth, outside of the FFA Cup, have not lost a match since the 13th of May. And they've only lost 2 matches plus 1 FFA Cup match all season. So you take that into account, I think we're looking at about, by my maths, about 26 games. And they've only dropped 2 of them.
Yeah, right. I think it's going to be 3. I think they're going to drop 3 because I think Magic are going to do it.
Well, I think if Magic win it, Edgeworth are the masters of controlling the pace. I think Broadmeadow have to come out of the gates and use their attack. They've got some attacking flair. They've got James Vigili. They've got Carl Bradbury. They've got these guys up front that can score goals. They've got guys in the midfield that know how to play. If they get drawn into Edgeworth's game early on and trying to tick-tack around, they need to play direct and score, go hard at the goals early. If they get 1 or 2 in early, I think that might break Edgeworth. But if it gets the 80th or 90th minute and they're only 1 up or they're level, mate, Josh Rose, Daniel McBreen, these sorts of guys, very dangerous, and Edgeworth have made a massive habit out of stealing a point or stealing 2 points late. So I think that Broadmeadow will lead 2-0 at half-time. It'll be 2-2 at full-time. And Edgeworth will score in extra time to win it 3-2.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Right.
Follow that, mate. Follow that.
I think Edgeworth will just win. 2-0, mate.
Edgeworth 2-0.
McBreen will score.
McBreen will score. I think he's coming off. Is he going to come off the bench, you think?
I would say he will.
Yeah, he's coming off the bench, so he said.
Come on in the 88th minute and just score one.
He'll score 1.
A couple of minutes, that's all he needs.
A couple other talking points, obviously, from the season. A few player movements. We touched on Valentine, their heart and soul. Pettit is going to join Hamilton.
Hey.
It's probably good for Hamilton, but Valentine really need to have a reason for players to go there, and he was probably one of the few reasons that young guys might go there to learn and play alongside someone who is, he's not all that old, but he's an experienced campaigner and knows what he's doing.
Yeah, look, obviously the season Valentine have had is going to make any decent player second guess another season there. So, and obviously he's decided up and leave, and obviously could try his luck. Obviously, to I would say a more experienced side, and obviously a side with obviously very good coaching staff. And
he's reuniting with one of his former coaches from the junior Jets and all those sorts of things, and he's got quite a few connections to the club, as we're aware. And the other big talking point at the moment is obviously the seasoned stable of Lambton Stars and whether they continue on. Griffiths, Wheelhouse, Swancott. There's a few National League games in that crew.
Yeah, mate, a few older heads as well. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see who goes around again and who doesn't. Wouldn't surprise me if Job hangs up the boots. Wouldn't surprise me if Job or even Joel, mate, to be honest, with his focus on... I don't know that Joel will completely give it away, to be honest. I think he might he might take it a further step back than he has this year and just be available. And, mate, I don't care what NPL club you are. In the Northern New South Wales NPL, you still take that. I mean, if you're in some of the stronger NPLs, you might not. Yep. But at the moment, as Charlestown showed this year with the fact that they were prepared to fork out some big cash to sign a bloke, probably, a little bit more mobile than
Joel in terms of what he was getting, the way he was getting around the park, but
Yep.
massive risk in terms of, I mean, it went down without a hitch. He did get injured, he did retire, but, he wasn't training, he was coming up for the games, all these sorts of things. So it's a massive risk, and obviously everyone knows, no doubting Lubo's was a massively talented footballer, but there was a big risk because we know about some of the other things that have gone on off the pitch, and, he doesn't mind just coming out and saying what he thinks, which, as punters and fans, we love. But, sponsors and some of those other things don't necessarily love even at the NPL level. So, I think Joel's still a pretty attractive prospect in that point of view. And so it'll obviously be interesting to see whether, if Job goes, whether Abe goes on for a couple more years, Ryan and Joel, and mate, Swanee still looks like a spring chicken between those sticks, mate.
Yeah, mate, still looking good. Still looking very good. So I've got no doubt he'll go around again. So.
I hear you're the president of the Brad Swan fan club anyway, mate. Is that right?
No, mate, no. He's very talented man, very very, very easy going Blake. But as I said, I used to play for Adamstown, and obviously he was there at the time when I was there when I was only like 17. So.
So you learned some things from him, did you?
Yeah, mate, not to go in goals because he's got that shit covered.
You wouldn't want to try and take his job, you'd have to be pretty handy.
No way.
Speaking of handy goalkeepers, mate, we might kick off.
Mate.
I've asked for your genius inputs and soccer experience to give us a bit of an NPL team of the year, and then I've gone and butchered it by creating a bench to sort of honour some of the boys that have played at some of probably the lower clubs that might not have got a mention, and de facto almost player of the year for those clubs from our point of view, but shuffling them around so we had a bit of a balance on the bench as well and everyone was represented. So
beautiful.
I'll let you go through your teammates and a couple of thoughts on any of them. And
obviously we'll start off with the goalkeeper. I didn't go Swanee. I was close. I really was.
Yeah, mate. But, you better watch yourself if you're floating around at the footy on the weekend. Yeah,
mate. No, changed me tip to Magic. So I've gone Paul Bitts. Obviously, no question, he's a talented keeper, and obviously he showed that again this season. Behind the sticks.
There's a fair few this year that played really well. I mean, two of them at Charlestown that had some really good games between them. One of whom was also moonlighting as an AFL player. Well, you're the one that filled me in on that. So they're playing Black Diamond AFL and NPL, so that's impressive. Right. A couple of guys at the lower clubs too, and we'll get to one of them in a little bit. But there's some guys that I think at different times really kept their lower tier clubs in the fight, and a few of those lower scoring games against higher sides. So
look, as I said, it's one of those things with the Northern NPL. I think it's not like your Victorian NPL and obviously like your Sydney. Everyone's in that sort of at the same level, so to speak. So it's to pick a team.
So basically, what we're saying is, don't send hate mail to you about this team.
Well, as I said, this is strictly my opinion. So
that's all right, mate. We love opinions. That's what we're here for, mate. Opinions are great. They're like everyone, like arseholes. Everyone's got one, and most of them are full of shit. Anyway, we'll go through into the back line, mate.
We'll go in. Obviously, left back, I've got Tom Davis from Olympic. Outstanding quality all season, and just an all-round good player personally. Centre back, obviously Pat Wheeler from Edgy. Look, if he gives obviously what he's given all season, they'll be hard to stop. Obviously, there in the back line.
It's been really strong all year. All the highlights you see some of the last line of defence saves and things that himself and the next bloke have been involved in for their respective teams are the reasons they went so deep.
100% committed in the back line there. I've got Marcus Duncan as well from the Jaffers. Another good season, obviously. And right back, I've got Alex Reid from Maitland, who, look, he's personally, he's a talented player.
I enjoy watching him play because, someone who's not grown up on soccer or football, he brings some attack from defence, and he doesn't mind having a crack, as we saw on the weekend. Absolutely. He was brought down at the last line. I like that Maitland play that way. Obviously, most of their guys are quite comfortable going forward, and I've been really impressed with what I've seen from him this year.
He's a quality player, and obviously deserves to be there. Right mid, obviously Reece Cooper from Olympic. Obviously good.
Your mate.
Your mate. Your mate. I believe he's got his shirt on tonight there. Hope he washed it.
Reece needs to get to the gym, mate, if you're filling out his shirt.
That's right.
That dad bod.
Plenty of off-season, mate. I'm sure he'll hit there for you. Obviously in the centre there, I've got Don Bazzari, obviously for Edgy.
It was a toss-up after his own goal, I hear. He's potent, but he also he transitions really well as well. So
he does, yeah. Obviously, a very good player in the middle, and obviously covers the defence when he needs to, and obviously goes forward with the boys very well, and obviously proved that throughout the season. Obviously, it's probably one of the good reasons why they're where they are.
Yep.
Obviously, left mid, I've put in Matt Tull from Charlie. Look, he played well in the FFA Cup match, and he's played well.
He's been a strong player for a number of years, and
Yeah.
bit of heart and soul there. So he's done a lot. Even when they hit that slump. I mean, for the start of the year, he's strong. When there's a number of them being strong, then you watch the games where they started to drop away, and he was always still one of those campaigners. And there's a couple of others from time to time, but he's that consistent sort of guy too. I think that you don't often get a 10 out of 10 game from him, but you certainly don't get much less than maybe a 7 out of him any week. So he's just Mr. Reliable for them.
Yeah, I watched him at Adamstown halfway through the year, and he was amazing. Like just his work rate, and as you said, he may not do everything right, but he doesn't do much wrong at the same time. Like, if he makes a mistake, he'll correct it. If it's, he's just a good player.
Yeah,
he deserves to be there.
He's not the sort of bloke that feels like the highlights reel like our front three will.
Correct.
But he's certainly, without him, Charlestown would find themselves both attacking and defensively in a whole different space a lot of the time. Yeah,
and obviously again, we've obviously the likes of the squad. I don't think they're going to change too much. Obviously, except for Mr.
Good Vibes.
Good Vibes in So obviously, whoever's going to come in and fill that spot will obviously do very well. Obviously, with a bloke like him, obviously on the wing.
Yeah.
On the left. Obviously, as you said, the front three, pretty much no question, no brainers. Carl Bradbury on the right, Sam Walker in the guts, and obviously James Virgili on the left.
Mate, there's a lot of goals up front in this team, isn't there? Oh, hey.
Yeah, three.
But all three of them also have the ability to play for another person, which is what I like.
Correct.
Kale and James have showed that this year, in setting each other up and also setting up other players in that Magic team.
Yep.
Sam probably not to the same extent this year, just because Lake Macquarie outside of him haven't really had a lot of other out-and-out goal poachers.
Yep.
And so he's really had to fill that role, but mate, he's a good leader for that side, and a deserved winner of the Golden Boot this year.
Absolutely. You can't knock him. Obviously, Lake Macquarie didn't have the best year, but I think obviously they're on the right way. Obviously, if you talk about teams that obviously, achieved and probably didn't achieve, I think they achieved not what they probably set out to achieve, but I think in a way that...
I think if you were grading, you'd probably give them a pass.
Oh, 100%.
They played quite well with what they had. They had some quite young guys. They obviously had a couple of seasoned campaigners, especially Sam and Tom, who both showed that through in the year. And one of the other boys who, based on the limited games that I got to this year, has managed to sneak onto the bench, which we'll get to in a second, has been a key part of that too. And his experience from having played for a number of years, I think, from talking to you, he's played a lot at sort of as an overage player in some of those at Magic, over the years, and he's found a spot there where he can sort of control the midfield for them and done a really good job. But jump onto the bench, mate. As we said, we talked goalkeepers before. This bloke, it was a different Rosebud side when they had Ben Kelly between the sticks.
Very much so.
I'm quite surprised. I mean, I've known Ben for a long time, but I'm quite surprised that he's never quite made that jump to play at whether it's even NPL in Sydney or something like that. I know he had a couple of short trials at a couple of different A-League clubs and didn't quite make it for different reasons. But a very talented goalkeeper, and as we know, goalkeepers. I mean, the likes of Zelko Kallak and that are still running around down in Sydney. I mean, Swanee's not that young.
No.
And a few of the other boys, I think. I can't think of his name, but escapes me, mate. But Valentine's goalkeeper wasn't exactly a spring chicken either.
Yep.
I think we can still see the best of Ben Kelly for another five or so years, and hopefully for Adamstown he hangs around over there. He's been to a few clubs.
Yep.
And hopefully he's settled in there. It looks like they're starting to build something. They showed some real glimpses at the back end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next name on our list, Nathan Morris from Western, just a solid defender. You know what you get from Nathan Morris. He's been around for a long time. He skippered the side for most of the year.
Yep.
And did a really good job. We did look to try and include someone from each of the sides. We said Jackson Burston's probably a little bit unlucky not to get in, but we try to get a balance of not just have 5 attackers or 5 defenders on the bench. So next one, speaking defenders, we talked about him earlier. He's going to Hamilton next year. It's a big loss for Valentine. Is Reece Pettit. Yeah, a very strong player. We did one of our shows earlier in the year as they took on Hamilton, and he was the shining light by a country mile.
Yeah.
He looked like a man playing amongst boys, and did a lot even against a strong Hamilton side, and kept them in that game. It was Kai Tapaldo, very strong for the Jets this year for the youth side, and I think in a couple of years' time he may be someone that hopefully the Jets can hang on to. If not, I certainly think he'll get his opportunity elsewhere in the A-League. A very talented player, can play in the mids or up front, and doesn't mind hitting the back of the net.
Yeah, look, as long as he's willing to stick it out. As I said, I've heard from obviously experience of players who have played in the Jets development squad. It's not easy. It's full on. It's there's no real breaks or anything like that.
Yep.
And it's it's hard to crack into that side.
You're basically, from what I'm hearing, almost a full-time footballer without the wage. So
correct.
You are doing what we're wondering about Joel before, and doing it for the love of it. And certainly there's an opportunity there if you're prepared to grind it out. But and the other thing, as we said, it may take a case of taking an opportunity elsewhere if there's a bit of a logjam, as it appears there might be at the Jets now. But you never know. You've only got to look at Andrew Nabu a couple of years ago. No one wanted to touch him, and all of a sudden, we'll be out $500,000 for him. So
correct.
So congrats to all the people that made our team. Absolutely. Doesn't really mean much, but hopefully you enjoyed that. It's only our opinions. You've had a lot of input there, mate. You blew Reese's trumpet, and that's about it. So it's all your coaching when he's a junior.
That certainly was,
certainly was. He watched you coach cricket and decided he wanted to be a soccer player. That's excellent. But thanks to you, mate. It's been good fun, and I think you're going to hang around we're going to do this in a bit of reverse order and do the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, well, I'll give it a good old crack. I don't really...
You can't do any worse than we do. We just make it up as we go along. Isn't that right, mate?
That's true, mate.
But hopefully everyone enjoyed the video content for something different. We will be doing some more shows in the next couple of weeks as the other competition grand finals come up.
And off for the next one?
Well, mate, I reckon we own the joint here, so we probably can do pretty much whatever we want. But thanks again, and make sure to check out Josh's stuff, especially if you're a football fan. He Crossbar Capers does a great show all about the Jets and the A-League and the EPL. He even lets some idiots that don't know anything about football tip on the EPL. I think I'm doing it right though, actually.
Well, yeah, mate, obviously I'm about to record my episode obviously when I get home, but yeah, I'll let you know now, mate. You're leading that one.
Jeez,
leading that one by a few, mate. So I'm
it's amazing what
tips in.
Yeah, Jarryd's still upset. He thinks he won something, but it's not putting the tips in. So he makes it easy, mate. I don't have to go on a special app or anything. I just send him a message when I remember. So, all right, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to check out Crossbar Capers on YouTube. Obviously our social media channels, and plenty of feedback. And let us know what you thought. Let us know if we've absolutely missed someone that was a standout for your club. Happy to have feedback. We get plenty of it.